Welcome everyone to Creating Automated Systems with Evelyn Ivy, Innovate Springfield member and founder of the Lifestyle CPA and Financial Keepers. I'm Sarah Ayers, and I direct the Business Incubation Program at Innovate Springfield. I really appreciate you all taking the time to learn and grow with us today. I know Evelyn's going to show us how we can reclaim our time and make our work for us by automating some of these systems, because we don't have time to do all this ourselves, right? If we can automate it, we ought to. So I'm excited for this. And like I said, we're recording this session, so don't worry if you need to come back and watch it later, or if you missed something, we're going to post it to our YouTube channel. And then we'll also send a feedback survey after the event. Please do let us know how we're doing and what other content you'd like to see on our program schedule. So I think that covers everything for my introduction, and I'll just go ahead and pass the mic over to Evelyn. Oh, and please do chat your questions so we can make sure that this is as relevant and pertinent to you and your growth. So thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Evelyn, CPA. Today I'm going to be talking about automated systems. I wish automation was just as perfect as it sounds, like you could just press a button and get a complete product. But the truth is, automation is not as automatic as you think it is. And how automatic it is and how automated you want to be also depends on how organized you are. The more organized you are, the more automated you can be. If you're not a very organized person, then automation is just going to bring you, there's a saying that says garbage in, garbage out. Automation is just going to bring you a lot of garbage out. So to really be truly automated, you have to be really, really very organized. So today, what I'll talk about are the main things that you need to automate, like if you have a business, which is how to enter data in your books, which is automate adding transactions and bank feeds, auto invoicing, adding recurring expenses, automate your payroll, auto send reports, and auto backup. Now, if you're QuickBooks Online, you don't have to worry about this. So that's not really something I'm going to go into. It's just it's a benefit that you have from QuickBooks Backup that you don't even think about when you're on QuickBooks Online. The strength of automation is saves time. The weakness of automation is there's a lot of room for error. The more complicated your business is, the more error prone it is. So like the less organized you are, the more error prone it is. Because remember, when you're automating, what you're automating is your system. So for example, let's say you go to Walmart and you have like 500 different items you could buy from Walmart. When you automate that expense to say always classify that supplies, well, you're not really getting a lot of information because every single expense from Walmart will be supplies. So when you're automating, like I said, you really want to make sure you have a system in the background that supports it. So you must have, to automate, you must have a systemized, standardized business. The less systemized and standard your business is, the less likely that automation is going to work for you. I wish I could tell you something different. I wish I could just say, okay, I know the title sounded good and it was like, man, how do I automate this? And so I can just be hands off, but you come and you hear like, oh, I still have to do some work. But unfortunately, where we are in our technology right now is you actually have to be able to give the system good data so it can organize it for you. When you run a business, there are things you need to know. You need to know what you have, what you need to, so you basically need to know what you've earned, what you've spent, and what you have. And so this is what we talk about when we talk about automated reporting. So now most of this illustration, most of this presentation is going to be illustration through QuickBooks. So I'm going to switch my screen now to QuickBooks. So I'll stop sharing this. I'll go into QuickBooks and I'll share QuickBooks so I can begin to illustrate what we'll be doing there. Can you guys see this okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
All right, this is a sample company in QuickBooks. When you go into QuickBooks, this is what you're going to see. This is QuickBooks Online. So you usually come in and you see your dashboard is what you usually see when you come in. Now, for QuickBooks to pull all this information, the data has to be entered into QuickBooks. So the very first thing you have to do when you're talking about a financial system is how to automate the data entry. So to do that, we go to banking because this is how the data will be entered. It's the easiest way to enter the data, and it's the easiest way to automate the data. So for example, this is the sample file in QuickBooks, so it already has all this data populated for me. So if I want to automate this, what I'll do is I go to bank rules, and I'll begin to create my rule. So like, for example, let me show you something here. I go here in the bank feeds, I see I have a rental. I go to my rules, I create a rule for a rental. A rental is money out. Anytime you see this, I want you to classify this as rental income, rental expense. We don't have it in there, so I'm going to add it as a category. And the pay you a rental. We don't have it, so I have to add that. And I can assign more things, like I can put a memo if I want that was showing everything, or I can put, I could add, well, this doesn't have class. So classes are not turned in, so I can't really do that. So every time it says description controls a rental, what it's going to do is going to automatically, and then I can say automatically categorize it, which is at the bottom. This is blocking me. Move this to the side. There we go. There we go. So here, the auto add. So every single time QuickBooks see this, is going to automatically add it. So I wouldn't even know the transaction came through. So when I save it and I go back to the bank feeds, you will notice that all those A rentals are all gone. Well, most of them are gone. There were like 4 or 5 of them. This one probably has no space, which is why, that's the thing, it has to be exactly the same. So it didn't recognize this because it had, no space versus the 1 space. So there were like 4 or 5 of them. 4 of them have been classified, and this one did not classify. And because one is this is a deposit. So this is looks like this is a refund. All the expenses were classified, but the deposit wasn't, because it could be something else. So according to the category I did, like, I don't even know that a rental came in. Now, the advantage of that, like, it was quick. So if I go into my P&L.
Evelyn, you just muted yourself, I think. I've done that, clicking around really quick. So when you go into your P&L, I think is the last thing we heard.
Okay, so I'm going to go into my P&L. I'm going to look for those A rentals. So I'll show you where. If I look into my rental expenses, So rental expense, you can see it's automatically categorized there. So those are the A rental that they were in the bank feeds. All the expenses that were in there were categorized in there. Now, the disadvantage of doing this is it's automatically categorized. So I don't see, because there's something about looking at the details that come into your account. So I don't really see those details. So if there's something in there that really shouldn't, maybe A rental charged me like $800 3 times, no, 2 times, like, I don't notice it. But, that's why you review your financials. So you just have to be aware that when you're auto categorizing things, you really need to be more vigilant about how you view your financials, because now that you're not involved in the actual entry, then you really want to know what makes up your financials, like what makes up your details. So are there any questions so far as how to auto categorize the entries, the expenses?
Hey, Evelyn, I do have one. With something like QuickBooks, can it actually link to your a business checking account?
Okay, I must have skipped saying this. This bank feeds is linked directly to your checking account. So this is where all the transactions are coming in for. So I think I probably didn't mention that, but that's a good question. Thanks for reminding me. So I just make the assumption that everybody already using QuickBooks and everybody has already gone this far. But yes, to start with, this was actually set up where it's connected. So all these transactions are coming in from the banking account.
Okay, gotcha. So essentially, once you have it linked up, you will see all the different expenses kind of done for you, pretty much.
Exactly. So basically,
Okay,
it doesn't enter it for you. It just downloads it, and then you have to enter those expenses into your QuickBooks. So that what I just show you how to auto categorize by making rules is when the transactions come in, and if you have rules, it will just automatically categorize them into your P&L.
Okay, gotcha. And I guess my next question is, what the different packages that QuickBooks offer? If you know it off the top of your head, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. Which, I guess, what's the cheapest package price for like a QuickBooks subscription that you're familiar with for small businesses?
It is the small business. They have a self-employed version. I do not recommend. I hate it. It's terrible. Okay. So, and that's like $5, $10 a month. QuickBooks has different, depending on how you subscribe, when you subscribe. It's $5, $10 a month. I wouldn't recommend it. It's a pain, and it's so don't even go there. And the other part of it is you cannot transition because they bought that the QuickBooks Small Business was bought from another company. So you can't transition that into another QuickBooks product. So if you want to start with another QuickBooks product, you have to start from scratch. Versus if you go with the Essential is basically a smaller package than the Plus, and then they have the Advanced. So the Essential is kind of like the starter package. So it doesn't have like some of the reporting features. You can't do as much. You can't report, invite as many accountants, but users, but it's for a starter, it's what you need. And if you need more, you can always upgrade to the Plus. So at least that's upgradable. And then if you're really, really, really like, you have a lot of things going on in your business, then you want the Advanced.
Okay, got you. Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
So since we're a small group here, Kelly and Kathleen, are you both currently using QuickBooks and set up linked like this?
This is Kelly. Yeah, I'm on, maybe I need to upgrade, but I'm on QuickBooks Self-Employed, which is what I am. I'm self-employed, that's just me. And I have one accountant who goes in there. I have taken advantage. The QuickBooks Self-Employed online will suggest, do you want to automate this? Like this seems to happen a lot. Do you want to automate it? So I have taken their suggestions, but I haven't done much beyond that. But I'm right on the cusp because I'll probably need to upgrade anyway. I have a employee I'm bringing on in May. So I just was cheap early on and didn't want to pay for more than I needed. So I'm on QuickBooks Self-Employed currently.
Okay, great. That's great. It's good to know that we're all kind of starting from that same place too. And that Evelyn just walked us just making that rule. So, and that, thank you. So, and then Kathleen, what about you? Do you want to check in? Okay, maybe she's working. So, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to kind of make sure that we're all sort of on the same page there, but I think we all know how to make a rule now.
And to go back to what Kelly was saying, basically making that rule is what you're talking about, because as you begin to enter data, even with all versions, it will say, hey, I noticed that a rental is always rental. Would you like to automate this rule? It'll give you that suggestion. So that's the same thing. That's just another way to make the rule. So you can proactively make the rule yourself, or you can reactively make the rule by QuickBooks suggestions. But
yeah.
Follow-up question, Evelyn. Does the QuickBooks Essential, does that one have payroll, or is that a separate?
It does. You have payroll.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
But it's the way QuickBooks break it up is a different subscription. So you can have the QuickBooks, and then you have to do the payroll add-on. With the self-employed, you can't do payroll.
Okay.
And the worst part of the self-employed, you can't upgrade. So when you want to start, you're just going to have to start from scratch again.
Ooh. So Essential is the way to go, essentially.
Essential is the way to go.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, you have to import your data into Essential. So it's not like Essential where you can upgrade to Plus or Advanced. So, but yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing, which is now that we know how to automate entering expenses, let's talk about invoices. So that will be when you go to sales and you go to customers. And a good training before this would have been how to navigate QuickBooks, because I realize now that I'm just making the assumption like people who came in here already know how to navigate and how to do all the stuff. But if you don't have, I mean, that'll be like something to refresh your, I mean, at least you know this is there and you can always come back and look at this, but you probably need to learn how to navigate first so that way it makes more sense to you. So let's say you have Diego. Let's look at Diego. Every month you charge Diego $500 for whatever service. Let's just call it service. It doesn't really matter what the service is. So we're going to create an invoice for Diego. And does that. Let's try that again. Okay, we'll call it just whatever service. Every month we charge him $500. So we can make this invoice recurring. We'll call it Diego. No, it's not. The there's a lag sometimes in QuickBooks where it doesn't bring up the, let me just refresh the page. When it's been on for a while, it just stops pulling up data the way it should. So let's just refresh this page and then start over again. Okay. Still not pulling it. It's not pulling it. Okay. Reopen it again. There it is. This is it. Sometimes the stuff's pulled into data and then you have to log out and re-log back in so we can refresh the screen. Okay, now let's try this again. Same thing. Of course. It's not pulling. Why? If you didn't. Technical glitch.
Of course,
I can't. If it's not pulling information, I can't show you what I'm supposed to show you.
Don't you just love technology? Isn't technology the best?
Okay.
It happens.
But what I'm trying to show you, it's not going to be able to save because it's not, usually what would happen is have to populate the name and it's not going to save without the name. Usually when I log back in and log back out, it usually takes care of the problem, but it's not. So, but what I'm trying to show you, it's not going to save, but I'll just show you what I'm trying to do. So what you do is you make a recurring invoice and you can say monthly on day 1st of every month, starting whatever date, maybe let's just say May 1st, automatically send email to Diego for $500. So he can click on that link every month without you doing anything and pay for the invoice without you having to worry about, hey, did I invoice Diego this month or next month? And you can go into his account. It won't save because of.
Quick question on that, Evelyn, while you're doing this.
Sure.
So when you said he could pay from there, so you could set up your different ways of paying through QuickBooks?
Correct. Yes,
sweet.
correct.
Okay.
So when you send an invoice, you have an option to pay. They'll have an option to pay by check, credit card, and with the link that is sent to them in the email, they can click on that link and pay, and it would directly be deposited into your account in QuickBooks. Well, into your bank account, and it will come through the bank feeds. So basically, when you go back to the bank feeds where we were before, you will see that coming through, and it will be a match because it's already been entered in QuickBooks. So basically you did nothing but, you did nothing, you just created one recurring invoice, and then you'll say, hey, 500 came through your bank. This is probably for Diego. Do you want to match it? So you see like one record found, like for this deposit, you can see where it says one record found. So this is basically a payment that was made by the client.
Okay.
And so QuickBooks is going to say, hey, $500 payment came through. Was it Diego? And then you can just match it at that point.
So match is just to say that it came from this person and then you're good?
Well, you can match. So basically, if all your clients pay, this is why I say it's very error prone. So if you have like multiple clients paying $500 at the same time, then, or different, or $500, but one person pays a different time. So you want to make sure because it will suggest every client that has an invoice open for $500. So it might be Diego, it might be Sarah, it might be Kelly, Kazim. So you have to say, oh, no, I want to match this to Diego's payment because this is Diego that made that payment. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Okay, makes sense. But I think my biggest concern is, so for the financial integration piece, it sounds like that's handled by QuickBooks. So you don't have to worry about, once you put in your information, everything's all secure, right? Like you don't have to worry about that piece.
No. It has the same security level as your online banking.
Perfect. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. So if there are no questions so we've learned about how to add transactions, the transactions, and then invoicing, and then we'll talk about recurring transactions. So let's say every month you pay rent, you can always make a recurring transaction that says every month, just auto record my rent payment. So let's say you pay rent to, this is not working very well, so I can't really show you, but let's say you pay rent every month. You pay rent is, let's just say it's $100. So you can choose to make that recurring. And every month it would just post to your account and match the bank feed. So that's another way you can automatically add transactions that are coming through every month. So just like as you can do recurring invoices, you can also do recurring checks that you write every month. So you can see why I said the more systemized your business is, the easier it is for you to automate. Because when you have different things going on, like you go to, you use the same vendor, but you might have different types of expenses, it's hard to automate non-standard processes. So the more standard you are, then the easier automation becomes. But when you're not standard, then it just becomes really hard to automation because you just put a lot of garbage into your system and then it takes a lot more time to clean it up. So that's why I say when you go into automation, you go into it with care, knowing that, okay, I have to be very careful with the way I systemize my end and run my business, because so I can put good data into the system and get good data out. And that's why a lot of times I don't really like the auto suggestions, because they cause a lot of problems, because, you know, people might be like, hey, why don't you do this for this and this and this? And there might be something that looks something like that, and then it starts categorizing things, you know, inconsistently, and sometimes it could really be a mess when you go in and click. Or you might even, it might auto categorize something and not even put the vendor name, so it's kind of hard to go back and track the transaction when you really need, you know, the data to, you know, look up something else. So you just got to be very careful automation, that when you do it well, you do it intentionally, make sure it's set up correctly, because remember, whether or not you do anything, it's running. It's running whether or not you do anything. And so if something is running and it's not running correctly, the longer it runs without you checking it, the more garbage you build up. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the, any questions? Okay, let me talk about the auto payroll, which the sample file, I have to use a sample file because I can't really use a client file, or, you know, and so the sample file doesn't really have the payroll, but when you want to automate payroll, there'll be a setting here called payroll settings. And basically, once you run payroll, let's say you're paying yourself the same amount every month. Maybe every month you pay yourself $1,000 and it's just you. Or you have one employee that's paying the same amount. You can just enter that payroll once and tell QuickBooks, just the same way I showed you the other, how to automate. Say, I want you to run this every 2 weeks. And every 2 weeks, QuickBooks will create the check, deposit into the account, pay it, well, monthly will pay the taxes for you, and file every quarter, file those. So there's really nothing you have to do but just the subscription. So it basically does everything for you. But the problem comes when you have to enter hours, like maybe you're paying based on hour. You can't automate that because it's not standard. It goes back to the whole thing I'm saying, to automate, it has to be standard. So if you're not paying the same amount of money every month, maybe 1 month person works 20 hours, so you pay them for 20 hours, another month is 25 hours. See, if that cannot be automated. So you have to go in every month, enter those hours. So, which is why being standardized is just the easiest way to go, because it makes it easier for you to manage your business. Any questions?
Hey, Evelyn, a question on the payroll thing again. So if you're doing like independent contractors, is QuickBooks intuitive enough to kind of make that simple?
Yeah, so there's a contractor thing in QuickBooks.
Oh,
and
okay.
So you can add a contractor, but for you to be able to do direct deposit, and I mean, that's an additional subscription they ask you to do. So, okay. But it will track the payments for you, and then you can, at the end of the year, prepare the 1099. It even has Perfect. A feature where it will have the employee send them a link, fill out the W-9 information, they enter it, do a direct deposit into your account, and then at the end of the year, just do a 1099 for you.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
So, makes it easier for you to manage your business. Like, yeah. All right, any other questions? Okay, so the workflow we're going through, like the main important thing is, okay, we need to add the transaction, you're invoicing, and you have expenses. The next thing you want to do is reporting. So, and that can be automated too. So when you go to reports, let's say your system is so standard, everything you do is standard. You have the same invoice amount, you invoice everybody every month. You have the same kind of expenses every month. So basically every month, QuickBooks automatically send the invoice, client makes a payment and matches it. Boom, everything is done. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you review your financials on a regular basis, and you can automate QuickBooks to send that to you. So you want to review this at a detailed level, and you want to review it at a condensed level. So this is the detailed level. And so you can say, hey, I can save this customization. So right here, I save the customization. and then I save it. This thing's in my way. All right, move this again. All right. Save that. Then I go back to reports. Let's go back here. Save this customization too. And then when I go back to report and I go to custom report, I can schedule this transaction. So I can say edit, and I can say schedule email, and I can have it just email it to me weekly, daily, however I want to see it. Maybe I want to see it once a week, and it will send it Sunday of every week. So it will send me an email. Every day or every week. So you can see it's scheduled every week. I'll do the same thing with that. Okay, so it's gonna send me, okay, this one said everything, this one said, so it's gonna send me a report. So every time I look at the report, I'm gonna get this in my email. And I can look at that and be like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. And then I can go and look at the details and see how it's categorizing things. Now, there are a couple of things you wanna have in a report. You wanna make sure there's a name, you know, the date and the amount, those are usually automated when you have an automated system. But one thing that I see a lot with automation is we'll automate without names, because they're just, especially when you're using the QuickBooks auto rule, you know, let's say the first time you added the expense, you added with a name and then automates that. So you're gonna have a whole bunch of that transaction without a name. The downside of entering transactions without names is, one, when you need to do your 1099s and there are no names, it becomes harder to gather, because now you have to go through all your transactions and figure out which ones are your vendor transactions. Or let's say you want to know how much you pay if you pay to and so like a vendor, and then you have to start going through your transactions, how much you pay them. And it's very hard to do advanced planning if you're putting in transaction without name. So basically, if you just enter transaction without name, all you can get, the only reliable information you can get is how much you spent, how much you made, and your net income. But when you need to do advanced planning and say, okay, I'm trying to budget and see how much I spend for Target, you know, or supply, you know, Target, and then it's like you can't really break it down to that level because you don't have that information. So my thing is, if you're going to keep information, you might as well keep it well, because you never know when you might need a piece of information. And here's the thing, if you ever get audited by the IRS, the more data you have, the more details you have in your report, the better for you, because then you can easily say, oh, Pie's Cake, I know that. I know where to pull the receipts from, versus like, man, what is this for? I don't know what it's for, because I don't have a name there. Like, you know, there's just no. So make sure when you look at your data, it should be clean. This is a clean set of data. It has a name, it has a memo, it has the amount, it has a date. That's clean. When you have partial data, that's messy data, because you can't really do much with it besides look and see, okay, I spend that much in that category. So you look at the details, and then you look at here, okay, it looks like, man, I spent $2,000 on plants and soil. Like, what made of that? It's like, well, I didn't realize I paid so and so. So you can kind of begin to make adjustments, you know, based on what you see. And then when you look at your details, you also know, oh, there's something wrong with my rule, because it's classifying Freeman Sporting as plants and soil. Well, that should be sprinkler system. Then you can go back and change your rules. So I can show you how to do that. When you go back into banking, you go back to rules. So you look for that rule. It is none created now. So I'll just create a new rule so you can, just so I can show you how to change it. Okay, so the description has, So you can look for that rule and say, well, this rule is not categorizing correctly. I need to change something. So you might say you need to change, well, right now it's categorizing as rent. I need to categorize as supplies. And so all future transactions will be categorized as supplies. So you can always change your rules once you create them, once you look at your details to see what kind of information it's capturing. Any questions? Any questions? All right. So that's the major, like literally when it comes to automation, those are the major things you can automate in QuickBooks: the invoices, the expenses, the bank feeds, the reporting, and just making sure you look at those reports on a very detailed, especially the more automated you are, the more you really need to look at your reports at a detailed level to make sure that it's capturing the right data. And then, you know, looking at those, you know, that's being emailed to you, you know, it's good to look at that at the high level as far as what's in there. And then you want to also look at a detailed report, you know, the details of the expenses. All right, this is where my presentation ends, and we can just start going back and forth with any questions or problems you've noticed in QuickBooks.
Hey, just a question, Evelyn. So back to the essentials. Does it have like a decent mobile application so you know you could easily access it?
Yeah, you can download an app that will connect to the same thing. And with that app, what you can do is you can scan your receipts. You can, well, not scan, you take a picture of it, and then and then it'll put in, so that way your expenses have receipts, which is a better way of keeping track of your data. So if you ever get an audit or you ever need to look up something, you know, you have it there, all your data is there. So maybe you need to return something, you've lost the actual receipt. You can just print out from QuickBooks and boom, say, you know, return that. You can invoice. So let's say you're in the field and you need to invoice somebody right there and then. You can invoice and make payments right there and then on the field. So it's not as, the app is not as complex as the computer app, like working on your computer, but you can do like some simple tasks on the app. You can track your mileage. That's another device it has in the app.
Okay. And just one more question on that front. So when it comes to like taxes and what could be written off and what doesn't, does QuickBooks have anything intuitive along those lines?
Basically, you can write off anything you use for your business. So anything that you use in your business is deductible.
Okay.
As long as it's an ordinary and necessary expense. Obviously, you can't go buy a Lamborghini and say it's, you know, I need that for my business. So you have a hard time justifying that to the IRS. So good luck.
So back to the IRS thing. Okay, so you would only have to justify that to the IRS if you get audited, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the chance of being audited if you have extravagant expenses are very high. So like they say, okay, your business that makes $50,000 a year, and then you have a car worth $300,000. They don't be like, what? Like,
okay, I got you. So, goals, Lambo. All right.
Kelly, did you have a
your
question?
expenses? So basically, what the IRS does is, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I was just trying to get like a question together. I mean, I've been at my business, I've been running it for about 2 years, and I do have QuickBooks Self-Employed because it's just me. I wasn't invoicing all that often. Now I am, and I'm gonna be bringing on an employee as well. And so I'm just starting to kind of cross that bridge of migrating over from self-employed. It does look like it'll let, like I've already had to transition my QuickBooks once already from a business account, and then I had it more integrated with my taxes. So I've had to do a migration once already, and they walked me through how to do it again. So it's a long story, but but I know what I need to do. I'm just trying to figure out like when to pull the trigger on it and make the upgrade. And then, you know, but overall, I mean, I think it is very helpful it's worth the money wherever you start to try to, you know, it forces you to review everything that goes in and out of your business, which, you know, like you said, it's just start off strong and don't try to do this stuff yourself. Just use it. Any transaction that goes in and out of your business checking account, your business savings account. I have a business credit card. I mean, so just, as long as I'm running everything that I do for my business through those accounts, it forces you to go into QuickBooks and reconcile what type of an expense is this? What type of income is this? Where did this charge come from? How do you want to classify it? Did you add a receipt? So it does help you be very efficient. I mean, for me personally, just again, running my own business here, I spent probably about an hour a week in QuickBooks just to try to, on Friday I send invoices, I reconcile my accounts, I verify my mileage through the mileage app. So it does make it easy.
So I have a question, Evelyn. For our freelancers who are invoicing for services to different individuals, right? So they're not invoicing the same person over and over, but maybe they're invoicing for the same type of service over and over. So could they tag their invoice for that?
So let's say they have like 10 employees. I mean, sorry, not 10 employees, 10 clients. And each of them are being invoiced. So they'll just have to create 10 clients and then automate the invoicing for the client if it's a recurring service. Does that answer your question, or did I not get the question?
So I'm thinking for like a graphic designer who has to make a logo, and but they're doing it for different clients, but the cost is essentially pretty much the same for the service that they're offering, even if it's just an hour of their time. So could they just automate that invoice with, like you're saying, with the rules and the tagging, to just say like logo invoice, and just and then they can just send it to that person over and over, right?
They can create a template.
Okay.
That's what they can do. They can create a template and then use that to send the invoice. That would be the easiest thing to do. So basically, if this is a logo and this is all the things that go into that template, have the template, update the template, and then send it out.
So the template is the kind of automation in that.
Exactly. So you don't have to think about what goes into this invoice every single time.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And I find myself pulling up, this client is signing up for the same kind of general service as this other client. I'll use that as a template. And just so I'm doing it the hard way, because I go in and pull one up and duplicate it, change the fields I need to change, like the email address, the client name and address, etc. And then I have that sitting there. And then as I do subsequent invoices for that same client, as you know, Evelyn, you can just duplicate that or resend it or schedule it, whatever. So you have some options there. But
correct.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
when reporting, though, I probably don't spend enough time looking at. So that's helpful. I appreciate that suggestion.
Well, and that's sort of where maybe the reporting piece. So for someone who's just getting started, it sounds like there are a lot of different ways to get started with automation. It sort of depends on what you're seeing as a recurring action that makes the most sense for you to move toward, right? So if you're constantly creating that same invoice, then the template is what you'll want to automate. But if you continue to have to invoice that same client for the same thing, then you'll want to make that recurring.
Correct. You just, that's a perfect way to summarize what we just said. Yes, exactly.
For sure.
So it's not a one size fits all on where to start. It's where are you?
I wish you were. That's why I started out like, well, the title sounds very like, wow, I'm going to learn how to just snap my finger and run, but it's not a one size. It's more like, the more you have to figure out what is recurring in your business and what is standard. So the more standard you are, the more things you can make automated. If anything is non-standard, then you can't automate it.
Yeah, for me, and just exploring some of the other versions of QuickBooks, I feel like where I need to get to is using that to generate like estimates and proposals, and then tracking billable hours. That's one of my biggest pains in the butt right now, is I have and they're not all active at the same time, but I have 35-ish clients. And so I have all these spreadsheets of date, what the project is, what I did, how much time I spent, what's in their balance in terms of hours, or what do I need to bill for them. So I'm doing all of that outside of QuickBooks because I'm on self-employed and it's just not that sophisticated. So as I upgrade that and get that on the right version, then I'll be able to do tracking my billable hours, which will then feed into an invoice. And now I can be a little more streamlined that way, because I'm just reconciling every month. Okay, pull up this client spreadsheet. What are they billing? What's their rate that we agreed upon? What's this? What's that? And it feels very hands-on. And then by the time I go and send the invoice, it's like, it looks automated, but I just spent an hour behind the scenes getting that reconciled and set up and ready to send. So anyway, that's where I
that
feel
will
like
help
I have
you.
some...
Upgrade will help you tremendously, because an hour making an invoice, that's a lot of time for one invoice.
Yeah, no, and that's probably not accurate. But if I go over the course of the week, like if I'm, if I have a project that I'm working on for a client, I have their spreadsheet open. As I finish their block of time for the day, I go in and update, like, what did I just spend that on? What did I work on? So over the course of the week, it's probably maybe an hour. But then, I don't know. It's just, pain in the butt. Either way, whether it's 5 minutes or 50 minutes, it's a pain in the butt. And I know there's a better way to do it. And I just need to bite the bullet and go down that path of stop now and fix it before I get bigger. Don't build on the shaky foundation. I want to fix it and do it right. So
absolutely. Such a great point.
We have one more question. For if you have contractors who work for you, so let's just say I have a contractor and he gave me 5 hours this week. Does he put that in, or do I put it in?
It depends on, you can or he can. It depends on the subscription you have. So you can give him access to your QuickBooks, and he will enter his time. That will feed directly into your QuickBooks. Or you can just decide not to give him access to that aspect of it, and you enter the time yourself. So you can do it both ways.
Okay, thanks. And when it comes to training, when you buy, say you buy QuickBooks Essential, which I'm going to buy based on today's session, does it come with any kind of training module, or you think YouTube has enough free stuff that you could kind of get your head,
You probably have to go the YouTube route, or it has to help, and then there are tons of YouTube videos that can help you too. But QuickBooks, the way QuickBooks works is they're actually not designed to work directly with the customers. The QuickBooks partners with accountants. And then you're supposed to find an accountant to work with. That's their model. So some people buy QuickBooks thinking they can call for customer service like it's a cable service. Well, that's not their model. So they find it very frustrating working directly with QuickBooks, because they can't answer this question, they can't answer well, but it really isn't their model. The model is they partner with accountants. So that way, I know it's a paid service, but that way you get the help you need. I know some people sometimes want to cut out that help and cut out that expense and go directly to them. Sometimes they can help you, but because it's not their model, it could also be very frustrating for you to get answers directly from them. But there are tons of, so if you feel like you're someone that actually, I don't know if you're if you have LinkedIn, one of these subscription services that provides education for you, that would be a good route for you to go to, or you can just look at YouTube, and there are tons of them out there to help you get started. But I'll say when you get to a point where you feel stuck, it's just best to pay for the help, because it saves you a lot of headache.
Gotcha, makes sense. Thanks so much.
Yeah, their support is terrible. I'll just throw in a chime for that. You definitely still need an accountant to help you make sure that what you're doing in there is, like you said, what expenses are deductible, how do I categorize this expense, and then using that to then file your taxes and keeping on track of whatever else you need to do there. You definitely still need an accountant.
Absolutely. Whenever it's more than we can handle, we need to lean on our team or lean on the people in our networks who know how to do the thing that we're trying to do. And I really appreciate this conversation and this walkthrough, because it's helping, me, and for other people who will watch the recording, when your real starting point is, like Kelly's saying, to audit your time and to think about where you're putting your energy and where you can then reclaim that energy to work on the things that are the highest value for you, right? And so when we can automate some of this stuff and then work with our accountant, Evelyn, always, right, to help us, get, like Kelly's saying, scale on the right path, so that when we're scaling and when we're growing, we're not putting out fires in our QuickBooks accounting systems. So thank you all so much. Does anyone else have any other questions for Evelyn? We've still got about 10 minutes, so.
This was helpful, Evelyn. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, very beneficial session. So really want to thank you guys for putting this together. And thanks, Evelyn. It was really extremely helpful.
I'm glad you found it helpful. You're welcome.
Yeah. Always, Evelyn. Thank you so much. And I am going to tell everyone to standardize everything from the very beginning so that they can just get off on the right foot. And I'm going to go back and see what I can standardize too.
It makes your life so much easier. It really does. The more standard you become, the easier. I mean, yes, everything looks the same, but at the same time, it's easier your life. I think it was President Obama that says they had someone, I can't remember, I don't remember, don't quote me on this, but someone said they have the same outfit. So basically they have the same outfit in the same color. So that way they don't have to think about, spend hours thinking about what to wear. They just kind of take the same, selection and just wear that all the time. It's a different outfit, but the same, it looks exactly the same. So it looks like they're wearing the same thing, but it saves them tons of time.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I read an article about a man, and it's always, oh, MIT's the best, but this guy at MIT, he eats Cheerios for breakfast every day and chicken salad for lunch because he doesn't have to waste his time thinking about what's for breakfast and what's for lunch, right? Like just those little things that we automate.
Food's a little bit far-fetched, but yeah, I get the point. I like food.
Me too. I like a little variety in my life, but the same outfit, the same drink a little wine.
Yeah. But it saves you time though. I mean, it saves you tons of time, you wear your hair all the time, you wear the same, you don't have to spend hours thinking of what to wear, what to do. It's just standard.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that we really can't get back is time. Once it's gone, it's gone.
That's true.
Well, thank you all so much. Evelyn, thank you. Kelly, Kazim, I really appreciate you and your engagement in the session tonight. And I'll be sending you a feedback survey soon, so stay tuned.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Bye.